Have you ever wondered how an institution that promotes morality and spirituality could harbor such dark secrets? Throughout history, there's an underbelly of the Catholic Church that has shocked both believers and non-believers alike. A history of sexual abuse cases. This blemish dates back to as early as the 11th century, tainting the sanctity of an institution meant to be a beacon of faith and hope. These cases involve the very individuals entrusted with the spiritual growth and guidance of the Church's followers, priests, nuns, and other religious figures. Even more shocking is the age of the victims, some as young as 3 years old. The majority of victims are boys, but let's not overlook the girls who've also suffered. The Church authorities, who should have been the guardians of morality, instead played a role in the cover-ups, moving abusive priests to other parishes, thus enabling the cycle of abuse to continue. This grave issue, hidden for decades, eventually could no longer be swept under the rug. The world began to take notice of this grave issue in the late 1980s, leading to a series of investigations. As the 21st century dawned, so did the media's spotlight on these heinous acts. The issue, once shrouded in silence, began to surface in various corners of the globe. From the Americas to Europe, from Africa to Asia, numerous cases of abuse were brought to light, revealing an alarming pattern of systemic abuse and cover-ups within the Catholic Church. The media played a pivotal role in exposing these atrocities, sparking a worldwide outcry for justice and change. This widespread exposure led to immense scrutiny of the Church's highest echelons. Successive popes, from Pope John Paul II to Pope Francis, faced criticism for their handling of the crisis. Accusations ranged from inadequate response to outright obstruction, further fueling public outrage and calls for accountability. Yet, the Vatican's response often seemed to fall short. Promises of reform were made, only to be overshadowed by accusations of failing to cooperate with domestic judicial proceedings. Despite the mounting criticism and public outcry, the Vatican's response was slow and often marked by obstruction. In recent years, Pope Francis has taken unprecedented steps to address this crisis. Recognizing the urgent need for action, he convened a summit meeting, bringing together key figures from the global Catholic community. This pioneering effort was aimed at creating an open dialogue and formulating a cohesive response to the abuse. Moreover, Pope Francis has instituted changes to allow for greater transparency within the Church. These modifications are designed to foster an environment of accountability, where such acts of abuse cannot be hidden or ignored. However, despite these efforts, the Vatican continues to face intense criticism. Many argue that it obstructs and fails to cooperate with domestic judicial proceedings. This lack of cooperation is seen by some as a further betrayal of the victims, amplifying their pain and suffering. In addition, some Christian media and institutions have alleged an anti-Catholic bias in the reporting of these cases. They argue that the focus on the Catholic Church overshadows the prevalence of such abuse in other religious and secular institutions. While the Church has begun to address the issue, many argue that it has a long way to go in ensuring justice for the victims and preventing such abuse in the future.